Welcome back to Ace Attorney. Today we'll be finishing the episode 5. So let's start with the final day. Trial. February 25th, 9:47 AM. District Court. Defendant lobby number 2. This is the defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma? For that matter, it almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. The number does belong to whom you suspect, and no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right? Chief Prosecutor Sky will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. Figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here. Hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid, today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminiscence about the past. It depends on you. Huh? If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. February 25th, 10 AM, District Court. Courtroom number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Mrs. Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, G, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. I don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I would like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? You confess to all charges against me. February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. Lana, Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through our testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. While the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation, her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial. Even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise, this can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. Prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you. So why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Count. But... creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. What kind of deal, huh? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? Its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Mrs. Emma Sky. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Mrs. Sky. Exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Mrs. Emma Sky, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Sky. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, I encountered the serial killer 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐜𝐬 of the 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐜𝐬 killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, so I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really that all relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. Sure gave it fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. Trip to the yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. 2 years ago, okay. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. No, you didn't see him actually stab him. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? It will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well. The defense may cross-examine. Okay. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. He was second in command under the deputy chief of police, Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gunn and Mrs. K used to be quite the pair. I believe they share the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk. Dream about playing on that organ. I wanted to play that day too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Anna promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. Man? Yes, Joe Darkey. He was a serial killer. Joe Darkey was brought in questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Darkey proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky and Gad's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Neil Marshall rescued me. What was the prosecutor doing there? There were two people present during Darkey's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assumed that would also be why he wasn't the first to run after Darkey. Darkey grabbed me, I thought I was as good as that. That's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Darkey. Just then, the lights went out. Lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. The electricity went out? Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Wait, but just then the lightning flashed again outside. The sudden flash left an unforgettable image on the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. Detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Let's hear more. I just spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. I told Detective Goodman about what he saw. Yes, but at the time the words just wouldn't come out. So I drew a picture. Picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Maybe we should ask about the picture? No? Okay, let's ask. This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning. The list of evidence it was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added the statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken? But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it. Okay. This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. See that it imprinted an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us? The man... Okay, so this picture, let's present the evidence list. There's nothing about a picture, right? Wait, what's this? Oh, that's the picture on the other side of the evidence. Okay. The picture is drawn on the back of the evidence in a magic marker. Got a very bad feeling about this. Okay. Let's present it. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that the prosecutor for that case wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold. It says the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed, two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Ah, these lists they are different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists together form one. You can see the marks here where they have been torn apart from each other. You see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious that what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case has ever reached you. What? What? Order, order! But Mrs. Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor? Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth? Possible. Let's see. Something wrong? You even have to ask? Sorry, Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. That thing. That thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. This act of vandalism is the clear work of certain chief of detectives. Yes, he was out of scrap paper. Evidence is restored and updated in the court record. Okay. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright that all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. I think a flash of lightning could burn such an image to your mind. Thanks to Dutch, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Darkey about the murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense by now begin its cross examination. Okay, let's ask her. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. First, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodwin was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gaunt and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. Can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were the shadows. Yes. So at the time you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue? No, I couldn't see him clearly. Lightning was so bright. I was knocked out to the floor. You were knocked out to the floor? He had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around. That's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after lightning flashed? After that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating that we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I'd better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. Okay. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Oh, well, let's see. Do you have any info about the SL9 incident? Not really. Oh, he was stabbed in the back. But that picture doesn't look like he was stabbed in the back. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Let's present the evidence of the autopsy report. Present. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember, just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? Well, the person. I think this part here. I don't see what's so strange about it. Okay, maybe not. That's because the drawing stinks. Mr. Wright, how could you? The act of making an innocent girl cry should warrant the death penalty. I guess it means I should shift the blame to others. Yes, well, as long as the defense has learned its lesson, I'd better take another look at that autopsy report on this picture. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster. Okay. Maybe if we, rather than the body, let's point at the knife. Contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife a man is holding. If you look closely, you can see the tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It wasn't a conclusive piece of evidence that just proved 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐬 was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could he possibly see that a problem? Obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah, what's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. What does this mean? The tip of the knife was undoubtedly discovered within the victim's body. Only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. Why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time. She was sure she remembered correctly. There's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There's another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Mr. Wright. All I'm saying that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. Oh. Ah. Order, order, order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place on the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors award at the ceremony, Field Marshal questioned 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐬 with Damon Gaunt. During his questioning, 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐬 fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐬. It is my belief that somewhere in the story is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. That's true. There's no other way around it. It could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐬's? There have been one? It's another one. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can just be explained away by a simple observational error. It's true, right? In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. Assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. So please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Should I use this? Or should I use... Well, it could be the screwdriver as well. I mean, mean, it's either the... I don't know, it's one of those. I guess let's present the picture. It could be the sword because that makes sense, right? It's the sword. Answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here, inside this picture. This is the picture of the award ceremony. Ah! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. What is the awards prosecutor's marshal is holding? That's a broken knife. We earlier concluded the knife in the drawing was not Joe Darkey's type. Being the case, the knife the witness saw was an likelihood from this award. Order! 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 The marshal was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Darkey, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. The broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors award was the murder weapon, then the murder the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. It's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait! I remember now. I remember everything. Yes? Edgeworth? What is it? Can you show me your evidence list again, please? This list? The one with that picture scribble on the back? I knew it! This picture? I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew the picture. All this time I've been trying so hard not to forget. Must have locked this part way deep inside me. Perhaps it would be the best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Mrs. Sky? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Okay, recollection. Let's go. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well... The defendant... Stop, please, don't pursue this any further. Lana! What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. We can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. We can just leave it at that. Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come to this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. Seems we are finally getting to the core of the matter. Emma's recollection. Okay. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I knocked away the man with the knife. Then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the badger. Are you sure about this? Sure, see? I even drew a picture of him here. But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. And that was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I had seen him before somewhere. I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when he thought that thing that caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing? He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Thanks for the follow! Shadow? You mean you didn't actually see his face with the winning smile and all? That's right. I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. It may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation? So, by all means show us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when the lighting flashed? Who is this Blue Badger really? I might just know. The Blue Badger hadn't even been dreamed up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, indeed was something that looked similar to the Blue Badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright? In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious Blue Badger look-alike. I don't know. I'm not supposed to know. Could be anything, honestly. Maybe the jar? The mysterious Blue Badger was in fact this. That's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them a correct angle to look at this. Okay. I feel like this, right? I guess. This looks pretty similar. Present. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger. No, it can't be. Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. It doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed? Very well then. Please tell us what's different now that we know the witness saw this jar. I don't know, the location is the same, it was still in that room. The murder weapon, I guess, could be different. What about the murderer also could be different? I guess the changes the murderer. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown us in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf of Diamond Gaunt. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and this is two facts that reveal that actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in the Chief Gun's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gun's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know the reason, Mr. Wright? Lana figured it out. No, I didn't. But this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to be the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, let me draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf and the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah, suit of armor holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. Since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, it would have had to have been Neil Marshall wielding a King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with it. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? Defense took place, the defense theorizes, but the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall, you mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Oh no, she fainted. I guess that goes for a recess. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? Sorry, Mrs. Sky, but given the circumstances, you're the arcane murder prosecutor marshal. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you are going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. Certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touche, Mrs. Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us the message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have been left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Such a message exists? Put the thing back onto the court record. Real murder's name that the victim may have left behind. Maybe it's in the evidence, maybe it doesn't exist. It's in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, please stop at nothing to prove my sister's the murderer. Do not be mistaken, Mrs. Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. Truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. It would have to be something made in blood. He made it when he was dying. I guess this? This is the only scribble that I have in blood that I didn't identify what it is. Present it. This is the message left by the deceased. This is the blue badger from before, right? Is it just going to speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. The message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks as someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line there here, drawn in blood. What you're saying, these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. Blood must have been sieved into the jar when the lights changed directions. Precisely so. All we needed to do is connect these points. The victim's message will become apparent. No! Mr. Wright, What kind of message did the leave for us? Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. We got to connect these dots to make the letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderer's name, which would be Emma. Okay, so here, connected that. Emma. A connects to this. And this is the E. Perhaps I don't need to connect it. It's fine, hopefully. Maybe I'll undo these three. Oh, this I cannot select at all. Let's present it, hopefully it works. Hello, Raji. Raj V. Crab. Sorry, can't pronounce that. It's defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I've never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, he may not have been meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky. Okay. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Steve can't. You understand the implications of what we've done. What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Darkey was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Ah. Yes, Worthy. Because of you, this man was sentenced to death. Not only that, he used the forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Yeah. Ah. But Joe Darkey really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid it's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. We are merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up over evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in the charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. I hate this guy. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there, like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 Okay. Gavel's pounding fell on the deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Okay. Save. We're going to the next part of the trial. Trial ladder. February 25th, 1206. Okay. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. It's my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective 𝐒𝐤𝐬, what is it? Got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. On top of it all, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Take it, Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here. She asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law. Astro was talking about this just the other day. You must know the evidence. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? I think so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. Chief Prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. Message? He said, if you are planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Evidence law securely slipped into pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do any good now, though. Well, maybe it will. Let me read it. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. We know these 2 rules. Okay. Maybe I can show evidence related, even if it's not in evidence list. I can show this piece of cloth later on. Okay. Cool. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Can you figure it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations being thrown at me. Mr. 𝐒𝐸𝐽𝐻, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What else is there left to do? Your credibility has been all ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. This guy found out she unwittingly caused the man's death. Now, you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. He merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we are going to expose him. No matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Okay. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Mrs. Lana Skye. Mr. 𝐒𝐸𝐽𝐻. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. 𝐒𝐸𝐽𝐻, may have, struck a bargain? You think I may have manipulated witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? There's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement. A very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. The court has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution proposal. And it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. You're right. You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, This trial is as good as over. Defense goes, time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Damon Kant is the real murderer. I mean, who else? Who's that? Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? The defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. Luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? Alright, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Okay. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Porphy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Either you're very brave or very foolish. You're aware the curse that police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Or such an action carries with certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Wow. This guy. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. Okay. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, he was flipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Darky was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Darky bumped his head. I see, everything seems pretty clear-cut. The police chief has the right to refuse to testify, and better hit him hard and fast. Well, if you had nothing to do with the incident, why were you hiding evidence in your locker room? Present. Let's present the jar, because you were hiding it. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's that blue badger you showed us earlier. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, the evidence list presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. It was found where? see, Chief Gant. These articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that he also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may never rival Worthy. So you admitted to it then, that you were involved in the forgery. Me? What do you mean, you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective 𝐒𝐤𝐬 was present during the investigation. Orphe, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? Detective 𝐒𝐤𝐬's salary drops any further, he will end up paying to work. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office. In relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see. What was it now? A jar fragment on a lift? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Darky was convicted, then they are worthless. There's no reason I would participate in a forgery. Arranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You understand I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh. Indeed, I believe I will pass charges so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, 𝐒𝐸𝐿. In return, though. I know, that place, right? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? Evidence and forgery, okay. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Understand? What about the cloth, though? Makes no sense. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement? I'm not sure I follow. Okay, never mind then. You don't sound very convinced, Mr. Wright. Objection overruled. I think that won't mean any points with the judge. Okay. Try a different one. Okay, let's try to present it here. With this piece of cloth. Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. Yes? Okay, let's see. Objection overruled. Try to think before you make accusations, right? That didn't go so well. Let's press him then. Really, Chief 𝐒𝐤𝐿? At the very least, there is a very large benefit you from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? It would of course be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh, the resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh ho ho! Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the individual a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. Who's going to be made chief anyway? Yeah. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Warpy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out of the open now. Gee, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Okay. Let's press him on it again. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. Girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. You tough crime and tough people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be light enough to yourself, though. Oh, that's a good one, Warpy. There been something in it for him. Okay. Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone else? Okay, point out the concludes. Sure. True, he might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you may decide to assist someone. It's true, right? It appears you are positively determined to portray the chief. He's a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. Know what I mean? Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬 may have helped forge evidence? Oh, of course, Lana. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye, the defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in the light of circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to the unfortunate series of events. I would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana. As for Chief 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed Chief Prosecutor at the Prosecutor's Office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬. But how would he profit from all this? He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. You mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh wait! He must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. The motive, to appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy, you have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this, that I control Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana is keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she would testify against 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬𝐿. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless it is also what happened in this incident. Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout the entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬𝐿 is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Order, order, order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious, huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. Accused chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? The chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder. Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. Alright then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got. It better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. 777777. That's what ties him in. This one. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7 sevens. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean? I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7 sevens. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Order, order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The planned search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. Right now, this court demands an explanation from you. About the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when I entered the room, be alone? Always go to the bathroom alone. That's how I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant? I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. That day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, and we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet the Chief Gant of the name of the crime. The note, right? Maybe? Or perhaps a this one, because it can be only submitted to the chief of police. Right? Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. But to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. The Detective Goodman filed a lost item report. would have had to give that report to Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can be sure he filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, transfer the evidence out. Oh! Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. And you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're trying to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe... Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet he showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. No! Chief Gant, you didn't! Murder was the most likely spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, he contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. Forgetting, Mr. Wright. The victim's body was discovered at the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. Everyone was aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you are the Chief of Police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this dead body over to the prosecutor's office? I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need. Prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time, I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Where's the vehicle? I don't have any vehicle. I guess I could use the parking ticket? Use the parking stop. Yeah, let's try this. This is how we moved the Detective Goodman's body. Parking stop? Miles Edgeworth? You mean... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. You mean I carried the victim's body? Precisely so. Wait, even you know. I didn't plan on returning to my office after the ceremony finished that day. But you did return. Tell me why. I was asked to go. By Chief Gant, no less. He told me when he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. So you see, what you were really taking to the prosecutor's office wasn't a screwdriver. The victim's body in your trunk. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. Transport the body to your accomplice. This is Lana Sky. Order, order, order! What's going on here? There's no room for rebuttal to defense's outrageous accusations. Think back to the photograph Mrs. Stark took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed into the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Believe can't. Please say something. Believe. Your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we are going to make it in time for this early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? The police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Take the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? This is not right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you are going to just run away after all this? Run away? Make me laugh, Worthy. Stabbed all Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? If you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented by now. Well, I think I had Lana dispose of the body. So, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusation against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Mrs. Kai dispose of his body? I guess, I have no proof yet. No use showing evidence, I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐜𝐬? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's the tape. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, 𝐒𝐸𝐴, I'll leave your rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to the senior officer in your nation's law enforcement agency. Whoa! Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't had yet the honor of hearing her testimony. Lady who knows the truth, another witness. In the absence of the conclusive evidence, the only other method is proof of his testimony. Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions based in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? We've forgotten. The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? You may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense goes for Lana Skye. The defendant? Miss Lana Skye? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with the certain summons orders. Mr. Edgeworth? Prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in Hold on. Huh? Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. I was talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This ain't good. Of course you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway. Something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Wow, this guy. No. She's gonna tell the truth. Okay, if there are any further objections, this court is now in recess. Okay, we need to finish this. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸. Chief, it's something else, eh, pals? Detective 𝐒𝐤𝐞𝐜𝐬. Haha, I'm not a detective anymore. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. You mean... Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gan's done it again. Because he always gets the upper hand. It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said? Chief, it's not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Hey Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. She heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I've said before. Oh, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, I finally know what really happened. I think that all this time, sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. She did it all, just to protect me. Since her appointment as a chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gan's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, forced herself to do anything and everything the Chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. Chief Gan may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait to hit... No, I'm going with you. I want to be there. And Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Okay. To be continued. Okay, this is gonna be the last part, I guess. I don't think there's gonna be anything after this one. Yeah, let's finish this. Let's try to find, well, we know who did it. Let's try to finish it and get him to prison. February 25th. Now then, will the defendant, Mrs. Lana Sky, please take the stand? Mrs. Lana Sky, you're the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. Mr. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Mrs. Sky. Remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gan. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gan. Gan and the fabrication. Cool. Worked alongside Gan for years. There's no truth to his blackmail theory. Fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. By yourself. The only motivation was to get the Dark K convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. That's not true. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana, if this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. But I've been telling you from beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. Sacrificing herself because of me. What if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Okay. I wanted to ask her about how did she do it by herself. It's the... this one. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I arranged to crime scene. Press. You say you did it all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? Since it was the first person to discover the scene. The prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. What only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Criticize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. I mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark K? Something like that. That is so. What happened to the other murder weapon? Dark K was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. Okay, so when you found a scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted inside the wound, and then moved the body. Why? Why did you move the body? There's no reason for it. You planted the tip of Darky's knife in the victim's body, then moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You all people should know Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I thought to ask the sake of others. Why did you move the body? When he showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where he deducted it was, by Chief Dagan's desk. The body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Mrs. Kai moved the body. Pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Represent? But the jar is saying Emma on it, so... Mrs. Kai, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction with your testimony. Contradiction? In my testimony? Testify, and I quote, pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. That's right. I have a problem with that. Simple oversight, really. See, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. The prosecutors must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. This is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must have not yet been broken before he died. Ah! He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Or Order, order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regards to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you are as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we are headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Okay. Immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. Okay. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't the chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Darky was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. Immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. Okay. It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But you didn't get them all. There was one in the safe. Mrs. Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Count's safe. The Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. You really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified. She gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Count got there before you. Couldn't the defendant simply have missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. Pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once spent an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that? We'd forgotten, Your Honor. When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that! There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Count at the time he was looking dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No. Okay. Wait, I'm not the one who's on trial here. Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. Proceeded to break the jar. Purposely hit one of the broken pieces. Question, what is the action called? Fabrication of evidence. Why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Covering the scene, Lana Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, he sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark. Darren Gemma. And therein lies the reason. The reason why Mrs. Sky became the chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorney make up most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if you're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Something wrong, Mr. Wright. Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, right? Can you tell us full lies then, Mr. Wright? Mrs. Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Mrs. Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. Cross-examination might not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, to tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Okay. Alright. The witness may testify once more, for the final time. Cool. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Darky were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. I saw what had happened. I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. Head Chief Gant helped me to remove the body from the sword and carry it. If it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword. You're the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? Me? It's a picture I took from the crime scene as I encountered it. Thought it might be needed. I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, he really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright, please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I think I remember getting something from her then. Let's check the evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. The evidence law, I guess. Open this, maybe? Ah, there we go. Hey, there's a picture there. Oh my! This is the actual crime scene. Other detectives saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted criminal affairs only after I rearranged everything. This picture inserted into the court record. Ah, Mr. Wright? A piece cut out from his vest. Could that be... cut from his vest? Oh, the cloth we found inside Chief's gun's safe. Yeah, that could be it. What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it has fingerprints on it. Whoever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? Those fingerprints? They're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as we tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Okay. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body. Who was this? Come now, 𝐒𝐸𝐤. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief can't. Well, now you have to make me out the bad guy too. So I'd like to put in a word or two to in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. But you already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of those noose tightening around your own neck. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? Evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that is true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. Someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Joe? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves you're not over Neil Marshall causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. It's true, Mr. Wright. I showed that the piece of evidence now. I'm not sure it may be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you'll be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. Okay, let me save it here. This is scary. Need to save. This one. What do I do now? I better think it through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. I present a piece of evidence. One that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall. Show evidence. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief can't. You opened my safe. You know you took what was inside. Conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Alright, why don't you show them? Found it together. Why see? It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know those fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Have you figured it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? Looks like a part of it's been cut out for some reason. I mean, you had this in your safe? What? That means you, Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gal, righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. You really were manipulating her. You, Lana. I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, but when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my date. So you assisted Mrs. Sky. Or to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Darkey convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I took 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. Pieces of evidence? I mean those items in her safe. But why? Insurance. Of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What did you take me for? A fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? Hit the most legible part of Emma's name. expect Lana to go and wipe the blood of all the pieces. But if you have fabricated all this evidence, what to say you didn't fabricate a message on this chart too? Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean, that piece of cloth? Come on, Righto. Wrap it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? Admit to it then, Chief Count. You were hiding the cloth you cut from the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I don't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? A moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess it up here, victory is mine. No evidence. Honor? You have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. Evidence shows the murder. Evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Or the cloth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you finally brought it into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Honor, the prosecution requests that immediately sent to the lab for analysis. The handprint on the letter must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Whoa, you're slow in the uptake as ever, Warfy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. He was reluctant to do so. Why would he not be? I mean, you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Ryan, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Things proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... Emma Sky. Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh ho ho ho! You're really something, Righto. This girl did it all along. You still try to pin the murder on me. Oh, it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! This is Sky. You knew those fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. This is Sky. It's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Haha, but I'm afraid it's over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. Purposely concealed conclusive evidence. And my friend, here is offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? You really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall. What? Chief Count, you're absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Sky, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? Talking about a contradiction. One that proved who the real killer is. You're right, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Gaunt, your tyrannical reign ends today. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. I don't know. Oh. Wait. Look at the blood. The blood is going through the cutout part. It would be bloody, but it's not bloody. Why is it not bloody? It makes no sense. And what exactly is that supposed to be? This is the picture Mrs. Kai took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. Not to make out with all the blood on his vest though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. It's only natural. Lungs no doubt were punctured, blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it. Ah! Since Emma Scott's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the persecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gaunt, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. Most likely he hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. So, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Mrs. Lana Skye? Grabbed the unconscious persecutor and impaled him on the armor sword. Ah! And to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, that the person proceeded to write her name to the jar with the victim's blood, a jar that they take broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. To make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? You personally cut out the bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. Objection! Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to be better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute your allegations? See, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. No, it's not. Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict the suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, all Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Oh. Well, that's true. Defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, the piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. That is not fair. Ho. Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laughed on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gunn's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth. True. Legal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright. Seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? You purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? I did not. I admit, I refused to present it at one point. Ah, so the evidence is legal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Aji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can really believe. There is only one issue left. The result in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present the evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Well, let's do the evidence law. Presented, right? This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. Second rule of evidence law. Ah. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case under trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want the relevancy? Just take a look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? It was shown only a few moments ago. No, he's right. At the beginning of today's trial, the piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of victim's vest. Oh yes. No! It was then that you approved this cloth. Conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from this victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. No. You okay? I should have gotten rid of him. What good for nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department, trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. But your crime wasn't exactly petty. You wanted to reinvestigate the case. You recruited Angel Starr. You convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. The evidence is transferred if I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room, and all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? You can transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken back by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he would bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. Can you just pull it out? So would have only let more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. Bloody handprint. Detective Gumshoe's locker. It could be known as the crime computer. Everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Can you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. Broke our trunk. What's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution car aside, how could you get Mrs. Kai involved in all this? Well, she had such much loose as I did, and the truth came out. We took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah. Looks like I was better off being investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? I despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we are the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go do it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. You as I used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others in the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, he'll be fine. Now we have Wright here. Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of new beginnings. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Mrs. Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. Alright. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. That I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gantz help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Mrs. Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what a high standards you have, rookie. I can see why Maya thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Mrs. Sky. To you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Suffered every last bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, you know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Fire. I was worried the pressure might break you. Yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. Done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Just stop it, I only did my job. In light of this case, seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Mrs. Guy. Yes, Your Honor. You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact they still acted as his accomplice, the trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. I understand, Your Honor. There's something amusing about all of this. Why are you smiling? Because it's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Mrs. Lana Sky, not guilty. That is all. This court is adjourned. February 25th, 5:03 p.m. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Quite a long face. Sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. It's now, after the trial ended. You can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pal. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. Hey, Detective 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. Top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people in funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. No, I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Oh, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. Thought you would like to see someone. Lana! Would you be doing this? You're still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. Okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in this mess. This? Again, to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. Now, I realize I was wrong. Changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself. I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you would look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you would react if you knew. Sis, you're only doing it for me. Oh. Huh? I turned my back on you that day, hiding what I believed to be the truth. I was deceiving you. Yes. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. What's this? You don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. No, sis. Always knew that. One day you would come back. Now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistake. How must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? In so doing, we find a way back to our rightful path. It is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥𝐬, and me, thank you both for all you've done. Sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? You're hiding, I'm here. Where was he hiding? came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We are the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth, not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. Despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me, we are the same. One day you'll understand. Believe me, you will. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to do it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. In order to fight a crime on my own, I need a weapon. Scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. Edgeworth? No, it's given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant to do it. The thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Even Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. They both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I would need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. Because without partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Yeah. Is this a pop quiz? Oh, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? That neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. I don't know. Evidence list, I guess. Maybe something else? I'm thinking. What could be... I guess the evidence list makes the most sense. That's the picture I drew. Counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Art, we would have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth? If you will excuse me, there's still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know, it seems I owe you my thanks too, right? What I face now, my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in the court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. Seems we both have a lot to learn, catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? First book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. So, another case came to a close. For the sisters of Faith. Faith that their lives only just begun. As for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? Just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. See, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But Tony said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Where'd you go, detective? I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, haha, you see? Mr. Wright here's the one who will be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright, you're the best. Why is it? Suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Alright. This was fun. Hope you enjoyed. We still have the second and the third game. Logi. I hope she'll be pleased to study under the top coroner. For me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Okay. Guess we still have the credits. Which is basically saying what's happening. Yikes, I thought I was goner for a moment there. In the end though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If I penalized you anymore, it would be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. This goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. New mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. Partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. Show them though, someday I'm going to make detective. Yes sir, then I can just be like the 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐜𝐬. This was a long case as well. It was so good. Heyo, Badger. What do you have to say? Oh no. What is it? Can you see I'm having a showdown with a steak lunch? This star managed to sneak this into me. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. Even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Okay. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the right way lunch. The top lawyer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom lawyer's as sweet as victory. It seemed to dig the turnabout team. It's a hot cellar. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Okay. Sadly, it auto skips, so I can't read it that fast. Guess it's made for the Japanese text, which is faster to read. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something other for how many years? Well, anyway, we got another trial to get to, so it better be... oh no, I forgot my gravel. Sorry, I gotta go. Nothing suits the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing your objection. Still, I can go back until I'm full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, after training's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. I wonder if there's gonna be a time skip between the first and second game. Should be right. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth, brought your tea. What's going on? Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. A little sad. I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.